Well, yes. I do love how O2 Blast is just becoming an incubation chamber for Proper's next, like, DPS duo partner. I want to say that, like, Proper would probably look these. Okay, he looked amazing last year, and the Overwatch Leagues looked great, but he looked really good. But, like, Merit used to play alongside this guy, right? I mean, and Kilo, both of them did. They used to rotate in around Proper so he could play whatever he needed to. Do I think that, like, the idea of just really trying to, like, you know, solidify this Proper go kill strat is, like, the way forward for the shot? Not really, no. But I like the idea of making this sort of rebuild here. I don't think it equates to a map win, though. Like, I really, you know, we look over at the Gladiators, they're mostly untouched, right? I think that Marvel obviously is an exciting prospect and mega flexible. So I feel very good about the Gladiators still here. They've got all the, I think Jake pointed it out, they've got like the nasty pieces are still in position. You know, Kevster, obviously Yaki, very, very potent team. I want to see this Glads team go a step further than what we saw from the first half of the season. I think it's time. They need to step up.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I'm just putting that out there as well. There were some discussions between the spring and summer stage, all right? There were people, you know, putting some thoughts out there. Who's actually a damaged role star this year? We saw Stalker mentioned, we saw Lit mentioned, of course, both Atlanta's damaged players. Yeah. Alpha E was out there for Washington Justice.
I feel like Stalker and Lip are like straight up guaranteed to get it, no matter what.
Kevster and Proper, two of the best damage players in the world. I feel like they want to secure those spots, right? But with Atlanta playing so well, this is a crucial game, both for Kevster and for Proper.
That's right.
To sort of vie for that final role star spot, right? So this game, you know, and all the other games in the summer stage are going to be crucial if you want that role star title.
And I mean, yes, Proper had one of the craziest breakout years we've ever seen, but we got to remember, he's a young player. He still has more to prove. Like, I think for a player like that, there's no way, oh yeah, I had a great year. Well, that was good. You know, no, it's like, no, you want to have a reign of terror, like a reign of dominance. And I think for Proper, that hasn't happened this second season. I mean, there is a moment though where he can flip that script. I think if the rest of the season goes his way, could be really good for him. Could be looking really strong.
I mean, this match is definitely going to be exciting. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to jump right in to San Francisco Shock versus Los Angeles Gladiators.
What's up?
What's up?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd look small next to the person anyway, but this is kind of a weird perspective. What's up? Mitch Leslie. Yeah, here with Jonathan. Hey, guess what I can do, mate? Check this out. Look at me getting wide, baby.
I got absolutely ruined.
Who's the boss now, baby?
I got ruined. I got my ego taken
Power of technology, Johnny.
Fair enough.
Hey, nice shirt, by the way. I'm digging it, bro.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's getting better and better. I'm just putting it out there.
They said Hawaii shirts because you know, we had a bit of a vacation there, but I bought this in Hawaii, so I hope that counts. And yes, it's a bit inspired from your wardrobe. So
I'm digging it. I'm all about it, man. Let's bring color to the world. Now, you did not think. I think probably the main dissident, I think, on the desk about this sort of new look for the shot, you really don't think that these changes are going to equate to sort of a map win. So I want you to tell us, like, if you're critical of the shock, what do we need to be looking for that should give you confidence about this team? Who are you watching to try and decide if these off-season moves made any sense?
Well, first of all, the backline, right? Both Lucamino coming in from the Vegas Eternal, but also Renko now promoted to the Overwatch League from Tier 2. I mean, this is a massive setup, step up, and now you're moving into a crucial situation for the Shock, where they're supposed to be a fan favorite, competing for some of the top slots in the league, and you're getting promoted into our roster with Proper in the damage lineup. I mean, this is a lot of pressure now for him to really showcase his ability to play in this kind of environment, right? So I'm looking at the backline primarily, but also I am really looking forward to see Striker alongside Proper, like we saw last year when Striker joined the Shock after leaving Boston, of course. I'm just looking for some kind of stability here from the Shock, because they did struggle in pretty much every department in the first half of the season.
Yeah, and I think that, it's great to see Proper be enabled by his team and, more importantly, his other DPS player. But what we want to see from the Shock is a secondary DPS player that can stand on their own 2 feet and have game-changing impact on their own. That is what is really going to, quote-unquote, enable Proper to do his thing. He doesn't want to have to carry his team kicking and screaming across every finish line. There's definitely a question whether Striker is that person. I just think that truth is stranger than fiction now. We're actually, in the current year saying, hey, this is a good pickup. The timing is right for Striker to make his re-entry to this squad. And the Canon event has come to pass. Let's see what San Francisco have been cooking in the mid-season break. The Gladiators, of course, with Dante leaving the team, then retiring. Marvel comes in to fill those big shoes. Let's see how it all plays out here as we jump into Ilios.
Junbin going to come out on the Wrecking Ball, a hero he's known for as well, going into the Overwatch League, and Striker on the Tracer, his signature hero, with Proper able to play this Echo. So going to see a lot of aggressive dives here, all crucially reliant on Junbin with a nice little pile driver here on top of the Gladiators.
Lucamino in danger. Bio Grenade deployed there quickly by Renko to keep him standing. Nicely done by the rookie in his debut. Lucamino then just trying to play the high ground for a time, and yeah, Proper, okay, so we're seeing a few teams, and Jake kind of highlighted it in the previous game, Johnny, starting to see a bit more of the Echo come in. Very powerful, something that was pioneered by Pelican and the Outlaws a lot in the first part of this season. Now we're seeing the Shock go for that as well. The Wrecking Ball play, Marvel's got a decent ball of his own here, so kind of fun to see that matchup here, and Junbin comes crashing into Lastro, finds the kill on that brig here, and Babel fares no better.
Yeah, wasting no time to get into the backline. And again, I said, Junbin on this Wrecking Ball is one of his signature heroes, and he's very comfortable on this hero. So suddenly, you're already seeing the San Francisco Shock on a composition that they are going to be comfortable playing. And this is maybe a composition they could build on throughout this entire summer stage. I'm looking forward to see more of what they can do on this one. The Gladiators, on the other hand, now you're playing Winston, right, against this Wrecking Ball and the Echo. There's going to be a ton of pressure onto Marvel on this Winston. So we'll have to make sure that he doesn't feed his brains out. And actually, the Gladiators with a new tank get off to a good start as well.
All right, sticky bombs here from Kepster at range, trying to keep tabs on Junbin now, who's been quite the menace already so far in this round. We'll notice that the Shock have managed to take that point back after the previous fight. They're starting to get to a third of the way through. Proper gets nattered here. Looks like he's trying to hunt over after the other Echo rather, and Kepster's going to get knocked out of Dupe pretty quick, and he can't stay alive. Striker turns up as he pops out of that Dupe form and finds the elimination. Yaki elsewhere, though, found a pulse on towards Renko here, so a trade in personnel ensues. San Francisco still in control of the point right now, and Marvel times it well. Heads upstairs to try and pressure Proper down. He's not able to find the kill, and San Francisco are still in control.
But again, are we going to see this dive coming out from the Gladiators? You've taken your time here, you want to find some of these picks. Shock crucially has the point, and they're happy just stalling this point out. 61% and counting already. Now we're going to see the Gladiators diving in, duplication from Proper onto the brig. But again, they're just stalling out this point perfectly.
Marvel created a lot of space with that dive, forcing the backline of the Shock out of the fight, but they return pretty quickly, and they bring interest. I mean, Lucamino had the rally, but gets taken down by Yaki, can't stay alive, looks like Pulse, and then Pulse pistol follow-up was good. The Gladiators are able to flip the point, but the Shock gained, that 70% in that previous whole duration. Very, very hard to shift until the Gladiators finally put it all together.
Put it all together indeed, and now the Gladiators with a nice opportunity here to maybe try to lure the Shock in and maybe capitalize jumping on the backline, really testing Lucamino's and Renko's synergy there. Of course, playing with these Echo heroes, you have a lot of burst damage dive bombing onto these backlines, so there's going to be a lot of damage incoming on the Shock backline. Let's see if they can handle it.
But again, absolutely zooming just around that outside of the map here, hoping to finds some disruption. He crashes into Lastro once more, this time not yielding a kill. Straight away, knocking Marvel out of his own bubble. A lot of disruption here. Might not look like it's huge in terms of damage, but makes it harder for the Gladiators to get their ducks in a row. Kev's focusing beam doesn't find Purge, and he's hit with a Biter Grenade, forced to back away. Again, just as Junbin drops down, there's sticky bombs there, but Proppers find the right target. Marvel is felled. San Francisco now well on the way to getting back in control. It's going to be Kevster going for the dupe onto the Tracer. He recalls away from those sticky bombs though, and is forced to play from the periphery for the time being. A very comfortable duplicate here from an off-Tracer player, but he hasn't found any opportunities to get kills. Really just trying to keep Junbin at bay here as the Gladiators are ticking up that capture percentage.
Marvel is back from dying earlier as well. Junbin is going to utilize his mines here to try to buy some space. Crucially, he's going to stay alive.
No way.
Barely stays alive, and they get the point cap as well.
That's unreal. Junbin just hangs in there. Adaptive barrier coming up at just the right time. Yaki tries his best. He gets rid of Renko again. His pulse bombs have been connecting with the Ana more often than not in this round so far. But the Gladiators need to do a little bit more to retake control. Luke Mino out of the picture means no healers for the shock. But the Gladiators didn't fare so well themselves here, and they're forced to regroup and have another crack at this point. Last fight territory, Johnny.
Last fight territory indeed, and both Brigitte is trying to build this rally. Junbin, are you stuck? Oh, he gets up. Crucially gets up for the very last fight here.
The Techers, of course, able to power drive back onto solid ground. Feature, not a bug. Striker here forced back to be proper duping the Ana for the time being, but Renko this time gets his revenge against Yaki. Nice kill on the enemy Tracer here. Lastro going to go for the rally and hope it's enough to keep the Gladiators smooth sailing into this point retake. Nice bio connection here from Proper. Having two Anas definitely doesn't suck. A lot of pressure now onto Babel as the focusing beam doesn't find the kill, but eventually Junbin gets in there and finds two. This Wrecking Ball is nasty stuff. Marvel, yes, he's got Nano and he's well and truly in there. He's forced to jump away, get topped up with just a mini health pack here.
He's everywhere.
Luke Mino, the Nano boost here, he can't get away. Junbin finds him yet again, a third kill on the fight for the Wrecking Ball. And San Francisco, they take the first round here on control. Ironic for so many reasons, but of course, surprising given the new look roster they brought in. They are looking pretty slick.
Oh, they're looking so comfortable playing here as well. And look, Lucamino and Renko doing a pretty good job here, staying alive against the Gladiators. I do definitely think that Marvel, he felt the pressure on that Winston because again, like you saw there in the end, Junbin on the Wrecking Ball, he has the ability to just move around the map so quickly that if you do just one mistake, then the Wrecking Ball is going to be in your face. You're taking so much poke damage all the time. And so it's going to be a bit harder for them to dive aggressively and get on top of Lucamino and Renko. But the shock starting from the back, both Lucamino and Renko staying alive throughout the entire fight, just setting Striker and Proper up for success. And this is the shock that we wanted to see at the start of the season, but it might have to be a little bit too late here. We got the summer stage, and this is the shock trying to really compete for these play-in and playoff spots.
And this is the concept, right? Anything that means that Proper doesn't have to play Sombra is a-okay with me. The Widowmaker here now. And Striker, of course, picking up the aforementioned duties. Probably looking for some... Oh, my, yeah, your boy be cooking, I'm not going to lie. Great opener, but drops to the low ground here and just falls straight into the waiting arms of Marvel. Nice pick, but follow-up, baby. Not quite sticking the landing.
And this is maybe a win condition for the Gladiators now, relying more on this Ramatra pick, and maybe Yaki moving away, you know, setting up Marvel with these hacks. This is definitely something they could rely on. Junbin moving over to the Winston, electing not to go with this Ramatra mirror composition. So Junbin maybe playing a bit more aggressively. They'll have to get past Marvel, right? So what dive targets are you really looking for? Maybe Lastro?
Yeah, maybe pressure on the Baptiste, maybe even just forcing Immortality Field out preemptively. Also, Immo doesn't feel great against a Widowmaker, especially if Proper is causing problems, so we'll see how long the Gladiators opt to stick to this composition. See Striker there floating through the middle part of the map, pops up, hacks Marvel, and just sort of backs away. Not a super high damage composition for San Francisco, so Striker and Junbin, Johnny, really need to put this together.
Yeah, really relying on Proper to find some of these picks, or Striker setting up a good dive here, but already like getting poked away. They're not really finding anything so far, and Gladiators firmly in control.
Junbin very low here, able to presumably get back and get some healing. The Gladiators are at 56, and at no point, Johnny, have they really been pressured off the point here. They've got a lot of healing. Their throughput is obviously extremely high. It's got to be EMP, where the shock, I guess, find most of their value here, and they do throw it down. Rather, it comes from Yaki, should I say. That allows them just to eat Junbin up here. So San Francisco are going to be waiting even longer for a chance to flip.
Yeah, and this is something we saw, for example, the Florida Mayhem really enjoying the spring stage, playing the Kiriko and Batiste backline. You got the Suzu to clear any negative effects, and also you got the Immortality Field, right? So it's hard to dive on top of this composition. Like, there's so many tools for the supports to mitigate the dive. So Junbin, you know, he's having a hard time this map now, proper with the infra site. He needs to find a pick here to really open the door for the Shock.
Okay. Here's Marvel got him, Annihilation popped. He ignores Junbin. He knows he doesn't have the damage to do anything here. He knows he can create a bit of spacing though between the Winston and the rest of their team, and that's what he does. Tries to drive a wedge between them here. Primal Race from Junbin though that allow him to correct any positioning issues. But Marvel says, I'm just going to wait till someone tries to contest this point. And there's no real attempt here for San Francisco. Finally, the EMP comes out, Johnny. Suzu used there by Bubble. He obviously has Kitsune Rush, but it's not quick enough to keep Marvel topped up here. And perhaps the Gladiators just let this happen, back away, save these ultimates, and just try and end the round on a retake of their own.
Yeah, not too stressful, not too bothered about losing this particular fight. Again, you saw that was even pretty close. Proper taking some aggressive positioning, looking for a pick, can't quite find it. But going back to my previous point, that like Bobble and Lastro, they immediately saw the MP, they popped the Suzu, they popped the Immortality Field, and that's a way for them to stay alive. Now they have the Kiriko Rush, so maybe choosing to go a bit more aggressively here. Brig and Ana, they're going to be pretty stacked without the Lucio speed boost, and Kevster already finds a pick. This could be the Gladiators sealing this point for them.
Having a good round, Kevster so far, only the 2 final blows, but they've come at just the right time here. Here's Kitsune Rush, Junbin is steamrolled. Kevster fighting yet another one. This time it's a pick on the enemy Widowmaker. And it feels from this point onward pretty deterministic. Renko seems to agree as he just stood there and allowed that to befall him. And it will be 1 round apiece here. Yaki surplus EMP thrown out for celebration. And that was a much less convincing demonstration from San Francisco, Johnny.
Yeah, you know, jabs back and forth. San Francisco first with a Wrecking Ball composition on well. You know, they take the first round and showing what they want to play, and they're going back to it here now. But then also the Gladiators with this Ramato composition. Kevster hitting some clean shots right here. Yep.
Oy.
That's going to be a shutdown right here. But now, going over to Lighthouse, the very third and final round. Did he get another one here? Ooh.
Yeah, I think he finds a second in this fight.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on proper.
Gorgeous.
Only 3 final blows for the whole round, right? So it doesn't have to do much because the Shock are trying to, I don't know, finagle their positioning early in that round. And, you know, Kevs is really just waiting for an engagement. This time, different looks. The Shock go back to this Wrecking Ball, this Echo style here on Lighthouse.
Yeah, and obviously we saw the Shock dominating with his comp in the very first round, right? But this one, you know, it's a bit smaller, and so the Winston has some more room to navigate this point without taking as much poke damage, looking for these engages, right? We're going to see Lucamino and Renko staying up. Striker wins out in the Tracer duel.
Okay.
And this is really going to open the door for Shock to cap the point first.
Look, Striker's having a pretty darn good map, Johnny. He's 5-2 right now. Definitely no slouch on the Tracer. Absolutely what San Francisco have been looking for so far. Renko there taking pot shots, a sly grin as he clips Kevster's wings and puts the Gladiators out of contention here. Shock cap the point early now, and we'll just solidify this lead.
Clean as you like, and as you said, Striker having a bit of a good map, and this is just what you want to see. You want to see the Shock being comfortable. I mean, Striker, he brings that championship experience, right? Already back at it, picks out Marvel, and the Gladiators have to go back to the drawing board. I mean, they need to find some kind of momentum in this dive mirror, because I'm telling you, Mitch, we might see a lot of this in the series, so you need to find an answer now.
Gladiators in the first round looked a little unsure about what their win condition was. At least there was no consensus up against the Wrecking Ball setup. We saw Kevster try and pressure Proper down. And you think Yaki could probably do much the same here, but San Francisco basically had the run of the place for much of that first round until it got a bit dicey. See here, Renko wants to play from this high grounder, yeah. So Gladiators say, right, unseating this under is very important. But in the meantime, it's a counter dive, I'll call it, with air quotes from Proper, finding a great focusing beam kill on Lastro, and Striker connects with Bubble. And all of a sudden, no healers.
I mean, they're looking a little bit lost here with Marvel on the tank. Both him and Lastro commit towards the point and pressure the point. But then Marvel, he just jumps up to the balcony trying to put pressure on the Shock backline. And it just leaves out Lastro completely to dry on the point alone. You lose your main support. And from there, Bobble has no protection at all, right? So it's just need maybe a little bit of communication. Maybe it's the Gladiators. We talked about the Shock. Maybe it's the Gladiators who need to figure out the synergy a little bit.
The Wrecking Ball from Junbin, man, it's been pretty hard to deal with. Straight away, scouts the high ground here. Yeah, look, he sees that where the Gladiators are trying to play right towards that point. Shrugs off the sticky bombs for the most part here. Proper has that duplicate available. You see, he doesn't want to duplicate the Winston now because of the changes to that ability. Instead, just looks to try and poke the Glads away from the point, prevent them from capping, which they didn't, by the way. They got close until the Shock intervened, and Bubble just explodes. Proper descends upon him with a focusing beam and finds the key kill. Kempster fares a little better now, and the Shock have the numbers. There was a flip from the Gladiators. That is the, I guess, the sole upside for them in this fight. And with Lastro fighting proper, there might be an opportunity to extend this slim lead. Luke Mino forced to back away from the point. In comes the primal rage of Marvel, but hard to kill the Brig. You're right, plenty of ults to deal with here. Nano available for Bubble still. Pulse for Yaki, fine Striker.
Yeah, the Gladiators stay alive. Just getting that crucial cap and then being able to stay onto the point, allowing some of your team members to get back to the point. You still have a duplication online from Kevster. You still have the nano boost. So this is the Gladiators maybe being able to hold on to this point and maybe find some momentum. It's going to be an uphill battle to close out this round, but they have the positioning now. They are in control.
Kevster playing from this high ground here. Spotson been coming in. Gonna satisfy himself with just a little bit of poke damage there, as even Yaki was trying to get involved. An early pick on Junbin would have been big, but it's a bit much to ask for the Gladiators here. Forcing him away seems to be more than enough. It's going to be a Tracer duplicate for Kevster. He's right at home in the pilot seat right now. Sees Luke Mino, but behind him, crucially, is Renko trying to get to the soft underbelly of the Shock's composition. The Pulse Bomb thrown out, and Luke Mino catches it. A curveball from Kevster. Don't even get 3 strikes, it's 1. Beautiful stuff. And what a pick to put the Glads now back in a threatening position.
Back in a threatening position. This could come down to the very last fight, and Bubble still has that nano boost. Proper himself with the duplication. If he goes over to the Tracer and finds a Pulse Bomb himself, I wouldn't be surprised.
Go time here for the Shock. They've got to shut this down before it becomes any more of an issue here. Marvel just kept it alive. That instant heal from the nano boost was very important against the focusing beam from Proper. He can't take the Winston down, but still, so much pressure being suffered by the Gladiators, and Proper eventually finds his mark. It's Babel going down. Marvel knows there's no one to keep him topped up here. He's got to get off the point and find a health pack. He's found it, sure enough, but now he needs to get back in and help Kevster out, who's at least able to strike blood, getting rid of Proper now, and Yaki makes his way over towards the point, but this is dangerous stuff. The Shock's starting to win out in terms of these individual trades, and Babel can only saunter over towards the point. There's no one to swift step to, no chance to contest, and the Shock take the first map in this series with a real new look roster. Looking pretty tired after, presumably, Johnny, not a lot of time to prepare.
Oh, this is what we wanted to see. I mean, look, they announced the roster, the signings today, Mitch, but I do think they had some time to prepare for this one. Yeah, it's a lot of changes. You got a completely new backline to the team. You got Striker coming in after his stint on the Boston Uprising earlier to the year. And this is the Shock that we wanted to see, right? So Striker finding picks on the Tracer, winning out against Yaki in some of those duels. It's critical for the Shock to establish some kind of momentum. I gotta say, I think we're in for a good one here, Mitch. I mean, this first map went the distance. I think we could go to map 5 on this one.
Okay, I mean, look, the Shock have already exceeded your expectations soundly, Johnny. And I guess from a direction we did not expect, right? We knew, I mean, coming into the season, we knew that Junjin was like a really well-known wrecking ball. Very well-known, of course, in his home region and, of course, in ranked. But he didn't have much of a chance to play it. So much of this season, it felt like it had to be Winston or bust. And then, of course, it was Junbin and Max, this rotating door. The Shock couldn't really find their mainstay at the tank role. Now, whether or not this means that Wrecking Ball is going to make any more sense on any of these maps, it's nice to see that San Francisco been able to take this comp and really start to refine it. And Striker is looking good. I mean,
he is so good. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Striker.
I can't. I mean, I've seen too much of the guy. I mean, like, time is a flat circle, Johnny. I don't know what to tell you. It is a San Francisco Shock with Striker in the mix again. Look good at the start of this series. Stick around, because Eichenwalde is up next. Good start here for the San Francisco Shock. Hit the ground running with a bit of a new look roster. And how about this one for you? Junbin on the entirety of Ilios. After 10 minutes of play, 0 deaths, 7 final blows, 17 knockback kills, or knockback eliminations, I guess it's safe to say. What a showing on the ball.
I had some conversations with some folks going into this season. And keep in mind, this was when the Shock Hopium Copium was, you know, at the top of the charts. But some people were saying that Junbin was, you know, a top 3 wrecking ball in the world, maybe even the best wrecking ball in the world. It's that good, right? So, you know, I'm taking their word for it. This is when the Shock feel comfortable, and especially with less Sombra being around, you know, we're seeing some more Tracer Echo. It enables Junbin to play a signature hero.
But how far can you push this, Johnny? You know, Ilios makes sense.
Good question.
Right? Eichenwalde, Dorado, Colosseo, and Tartic Peninsula if we need it. Like, are we done with the ball for now? Any opportunity to bring it in? Maybe not on Eichenwalde.
Probably. I mean, look, Eichenwalde, really, I don't have the scrim inside. I can't tell you what they're going to play here. I do think it's an interesting map that we haven't really seen much of this year. It's important to keep in mind that Shock were really good on Eichenwalde last year, and obviously that was a different team back then. Kalush was, you know, and Mikey were the tanks for that team back then. So they've moved some players around, but Krusty has a really good idea of how to play Eichenwalde, and this was probably their best map in the 2022 season, so maybe this is something they're able to pick up quickly. Krusty can inform the new guys, hey, this is how we should play it. Keep in mind, you know, how to play this high ground and engage in these spots, right? So I'm curious to see what they're going to bring out when it comes to the compositions, because, you know, the Winston you can certainly play, but you might lean towards the Ramatra, for example, and some of these long-range hitscan heroes. We're seeing Kai in the mix, for example, so that's a bit of a hint right there.
Absolutely. I'd like to bring up the 2022 season for San Francisco. While players not here anymore, right? We saw Kalush play D.Va on this map a lot, and
yeah,
they're one of the first teams that really like played D.Va, and she changed a lot in 5v5. Felt like she was much more defensive, much more PL oriented, but also had that obvious verticality or the vertical capability that kind of made her a good option, especially in that second phase of the map. We're probably not there anymore. I think things are, you know, definitely trended far more towards like this rush style combat. Both teams are going to go for Ramatras. Striker on the Hanzo here, definitely a hero we've seen him on before, and the Echoes keep getting brought back in. So the difference, of course, being the Mercy pocket for Luke Mina.
This is definitely what I had in my research, Mitch. The Ramatra Echo Mercy comp. Yeah.
Yep.
We knew this would be coming out, right?
I mean, maybe you did, but you have the scrim data, right? I'm a little surprised to see it, right? Like, you are, you know, outside of the obvious meme of, like, putting a lot of resources in proper, which is something that the Shock do, right? You know, we know that sometimes Echo can beat, like, a pocketed sort of, you know, Echo setup with a sticky bomb and burst damage here, but Kai can't be happy about that run. That's supposed to be your pivot. The Ash is supposed to be safe and comfortable, well entrenched here. Probably just dives in with that extra heal.
Just picking them apart. I mean,
go kill anybody?
He's back in business.
Okay, dude.
He's back in business.
Yeah, we're so Barack, man. And,
I mean
look,
yeah.
the follow for Luke Mina was good, right? Yes, you're pocketed, so you know you can shrug off a lot of non-burst damage, and you can probably play much more aggressively there, but Kai looked like he had no idea where Proper came from.
Yeah, and I mean, Luke Mina does a good job as well, avoiding the angles, so Kai can't even pick him off in the first place. And then when you deal with Kai, I mean, who is really going to pick off the Mercy on the side of Shock, right? Kevster maybe diving in past Ramatra, but it's a tough task, so great execution by the Shock there, well played, and now they onto point B here, and they're going to push this card as much as they can, just trying to hold the Gladiators off and not allowing Kai to find any opening picks here on the Ash.
Kai, just a warning shot there with the dynamite towards the Catacombs. Proper though, what's in for dinner? We'll have him, my goodness. Yeah, that is a well done piece of steak there, my goodness. He just explodes there, and even taking Babel after the fact means that the Gladiators absolutely shattered on this defensive setup. I think they have Kevston lurking maybe, but all he can really do is harass
Oh,
here.
Marvel is lurking.
Marvel. Is he just trying to get out? I'm not sure.
Should be good here.
I mean, Homie be clinking and clanking every time he takes a step. I'm not really sure he's built for stealth here. He's built for Olympia, that's for sure.
Oh, you have to buy some attachment or something, right? Some soft boost.
Stealth attachment.
Yeah.
He needs to fix his loadout, bro. Oh, God. All right, well, I mean, Lastro just gets demolished inside the bloom of that annihilation from Junbin here. I hate seeing this. Going for it after the fact here. Marvel is able to stay alive for the most part, but eventually, yeah, Focusing Beam is the perfect antidote to the Ramatra that's inside that ultimate. Proper has to get a little close, but the Gladiators here look pretty average. They look pretty average so far.
Yeah, Marvel swaps over to the Winston. I didn't mention, but Lastro swapped over to the Kiriko, of course, and a bit of a swap there, but he gets picked up as well. I mean, look, you want to get past the Ramatra because otherwise you can't really punish these picks coming out for the Gladiators. Bob is going to throw an out from Kai, but Striker finds a pulse bomb. Oh, that's a nice little shot there. Maybe you can find some stability from that pick, but it's been looking rough for the Gladiators, like you said.
Yeah, it looks like that's the case though, Johnny. Losing your Tracer here. Striker only really able to get a trade off the Pulse Bomb. Probably doesn't feel great about it. Now the Gladiators want to slow things down, starting to pick the Shock apart as they're quite dispersed, I think, after that push came in from Junbin. So a chance here for the Gladiators to catch their breath and figure out just what the flowchart's supposed to look like here and how they can sort of get past Junbin, start to pressure.
Well, I can tell you that the flowchart for the Shock, if they're going to stick to the Lucio and Kiriko, it's go in, dive, go past, go into the backline here, get on top of Kai. It's interesting, really, because the Lucio is such a committing pick. Like you're really forcing yourself to play this aggressive playstyle, right? I mean, there's not a ton of healing coming out from a Lucio and a Kiriko composition, and so you really can't negate everything happening with the Bionades and Kai on top of this Ashe. Nice boop from Junbin. You need to find this Kai pick. Oh, what a sleep. Uh-oh.
Proper. Yeah, demolished. That was beautiful stuff there from Bavel. A little bit more quiet this game. Really dominating the high ground here on this Ana. Getting Kai in position to do his best work is definitely what the Gladiator should hope to do, and he's able to snipe Renko down inside the castle. And this is it. The Gladiators are actually starting to affect the pace here.
Yeah, I feel really good about the Gladiators in these compositional matchups. This is when you can find some stability and put your Ashe on the high ground. Even though Junbin can knock you back and stuff, you have the coach gun to sort of move around and protect yourself a little bit. Marvel playing Winston right here. You have both the high ground with the rest of your team, but also the forward high ground. You have a lot of options here, so that's the dive from the Shock, and they're just going to mitigate everything that I just said.
Yep. Sorry, Johnny. That's the way it be sometimes. Junbin just turns up and destroys that high ground presence here from the Gladiators, losing Kai again at the start of the fight. The Shock can't afford to have Mercy here still. They need the speed boost from Lucamino, so there's less maybe behind Proper in terms of keeping him nice and topped up and allowing him to play aggressively here. But on the Ana, he's still looking pretty scary as well. Drops down, a bit of harassment there from Kester as a bit left of the round of Marvel. The Focusing Beam, oh, he gets the Nano! Again, the instant health means the Focusing Beam instantly does less damage per second, per tick in that situation. No. It's just the antidote, but it's not enough. Kai's still down to the mines, and Lucamino gets involved as well. 3 players up for the Gladiators here, and they're eventually going to get surrounded. Lastro's in trouble.
We wondered about the Shock backline being able to play these main supports heroes when they signed Renko and Lucamino with a great sound barrier there, keeping his team alive and then aggressively finding a couple of picks as well. Shock, they're looking like they're going to cap this point. Kevster with the touch. They have a Bob here as well.
They can't get out of the corridor though, that's the problem. Yeah. Junbin there on the Wrecking Ball basically just says no. And the Gladiators were grouped up, ready to go, but no opportunity to make it back. Proper again gets punished there by the Ashe, and that's kind of Kai's function here for the most part. Proper's done such a good job of avoiding the scrutiny of that Ashe at mid to long range.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we'll see Striker and Proper swap off the Tracer and the Echo here. Obviously now moving on to third point, the more closed off point of the 3 points here on Eichenwalde, so you don't have a lot of room to navigate. We're not on a Junkrat meta, but you know, if Jake was on the cast, he might suggest that hero. But yeah, I mean, the Shock move over now to a bit more healing here. You have the Ana and the Kiriko on your side, so they can maybe build on something here, try to find an opening that enables Striker and Proper to go in.
Yeah, San Francisco, obviously, no need for the Lucio anymore. Crossing the bridge is not really an issue for them now. They don't need the speed. So we saw Bob come out there defensively from the Gladiators. While that was put to sleep, the Shock didn't really feel like they had a decent way in, right? So I think you're feeling pretty good, at least, about getting the Bob out. Got a minute left of the round.
Bio? Marvel? Okay. Looking to push this momentum, push this advantage, but they can't find a pick.
Marvel with the Primal, a bit of an issue. Like, again, creates some degree of spacing here, but it looks like the Shock are really just interested right now in moving the cart. They're not trying to take a fight here. They're trying to stick pretty close and get a fight outside of spawn. And then Junbin, this is why. Junbin wants to force them back onto their side of the map and get value out of this annihilation. And you better believe that's exactly what transpires. Now he throws up a shield in the wall. San Francisco play that really well. Instead of diving deep to win the fight, on the edge of that corner, they push and get Junbin set up to lock him into spawn.
It's really so smart from the Shock, and this is where you see really cerebral players come to life in a setup like this where everyone's on the same page. As I said, if you are the Shock, you're playing the Ana and the Kiriko backline, you're just trying to keep your team alive, and then when you find an opening, when you find a Bionade on top of Kevster and Marvel, well, that's the moment to push, and that's where we see the Kitsune rush enabled, of course, from the Shock, and they really go aggressive, try to find these picks, and they find that pick, and then you're in a 5 versus 4 situation, and the ball just gets rolling from there, right? So great to see the Shock being on the same page, finding an opening, taking their time, and then striking when the opportunity is there.
Is this Ash really doing much against the Echo setup? Because Proper is 7-3 right now. Kai, I mean, admittedly, might have been the one getting those final blows here, but definitely feels like Proper's still got a bit of freedom here. And, you know, Kevster and Tracer both with, I would say, neither with headlining performances here. Kevster being 4-1 was pretty nice, but it's not really been enough for the Gladiators to slow the Shock down towards the end there.
Yeah, and I mean, this was the issue a little bit for the Gladiators at some points in the spring stage as well. You sub in Kai, and you kind of lock yourself in to that long-range hit scan composition, right? And if Junbin is playing the Ramatra, for example, well, I mean, it's hard to get value in the front lines, really. And so the Kai hasn't really found that value as of yet on this role. But now, when you're on the attack, you give yourself a little bit more room here to navigate the angles and to find the setups you like. So 28 seconds for the Shock here when they secure the point. But like the Gladiators, they're not out of it yet. They have the opportunity to set a really good timer on the attack.
Looks like they still do want to play this fairly slow build-up composition, right? It's the Ramatra, I wouldn't call it rush because there's no Lucio here, and they are still running the Ash. So maybe hoping to bait something from San Francisco. Catch him out just like that. Striker, caught with nowhere to go. Kevster basically drags him into Kai's crosshair.
And this is what I talked about. I mean, Kevster and Lastro, they're in the backline on the Kiriko and the Tracer. And they're kind of like herding the backline of Shock and putting them in a position where Kai can find these picks, for example. So great job by the Gladiators there. Both of these teams wanting to take it a little bit slower. Yes, they're playing their Ramatra, but like you said, they're not playing rush. Like, they don't want to engage on top of the backline, right? They're taking their time, allowing their damage players to find these openings and really play their mechanical game and find the picks.
I like the Kiriko Tracer combo, right? We definitely see a few players, more aggressive Kirikos, who just walk up where their Tracer is and then know they can swift step out of trouble if they have to. We saw right there the San Francisco Shock getting absolutely picked to pieces. So the Wrecking Ball here, for San Francisco, what's the game plan here for Junbin?
I think Junbin was really comfortable playing the Wrecking Ball up until Kai actually swapped over to the Sombra. So curious to see how long Junbin is going to stick on this Wrecking Ball. I suspect the Winston come out once more, but I think Kai on the Sombra, he's very cognizant of what he's dealing with here. And even though Sombra might not be Kai's signature hero, this could be the Gladiators trying to expose the Shock's composition here.
It's interesting, right? Maybe San Francisco don't expect the Gladiators to have this in their back pocket. Kai's got to pull out there, actually takes a fair bit of poke damage. Junbin was hacked, he's still able to trundle away from the cart. Marvel's one that gets caught out instead. Proper again, just descending on the tank.
Hello.
Blowing him up very quickly here. Maybe finding a fall that he can shoot at the moment, but a nice little bio there. Sleep. Okay, he's got everything going on here. Lastro got a nano, but can't do too much on his own. Definitely don't want to give that healing to from those Inspire procs, so Proper kind of gets out of jail there and strikes a bit of a mortal blow with the Gladiators as they were sort of mid-step trying to take control of that high ground.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with Jake backstage in the first couple of matches doing today, and he shared the knowledge as well that, you know, we're actually seeing a lot of these Echoes duplicates Dianas because it's just way easier to build up the nano boost. You generate the ultimate charge faster, right? And you have the Bionade as well as a win condition. So we're going to see more of that in the summer stage, Mitch.
Yeah, the changes to Echo making it less of an obvious decision, you know, just copy Winston and move on with your life. Proper, man, he's looking excellent. This is kind of what we hope to see if you're a San Francisco fan. Proper put you in a position where he can just go, not worry too much about the consequences here. Really aggressive plays, been keeping Marvel under the thumb for most of this round, while Junbin constantly has the Gladiator suffering from Whiplash. Sleep here, but he should be able to walk away from this one, even with the bio.
Oh, he's struggling.
Oh, got him.
It's a nice pick.
Kevster able to run him down. Johnny really has to extend deep for that one, though. Walks into a sleep here. Striker able to find that kill despite, let's see, Marvel trying to protect him with that Primal Rage now. Up he goes and deals with Proper. Marvel finally getting his time in the sun, and the Gladiators still with 3 minutes on the clock. So a lot of time to work with after a very quick point A take, are getting close to this second checkpoint.
And Gladiators have this EMP as well, so a great opportunity here for the Gladiators to close out this second point. Marvel waiting for the EMP to come in. We're going to see the Shock engaging first, trying to find the picks themselves.
I love this, Johnny. The Jungle Queen. The cannon swing. Stick on Junbin, though. Kevster shuts him down, but I think the damage has already been done because after Junbin falls, Prop is there already to find 2 quick kills. Hang on, Kevster. Hang on. He's able to equalize the fight for a 2 versus 2 here, but man, you've kind of lost the element of surprise here. How do you pressure Striker down? He's not going to offer himself up for free.
Yeah, you can't with the spawns. I mean, Shock are just going to come back here faster, so you gotta wait it out. Marvel swaps over to the ball. I suspect this ball swap was actually to get back faster, but now you're in a situation where you gotta engage quickly with this nano boost from Bubble.
A ton of ball with the Soul Dynasty, right? This is, you know, not out of his wheelhouse, suffice to say. Good hack there on top of Oh, there it is, surely! What a big boop, and yeah, that'll catch Renko out. No charge of getting away. But Luke Mino, I think it was, able to swift step to his teammate, but straight into the belly of the beast as Lastro eats him up. And this will be the Gladiators getting to the castle phase, Johnny, with like a minute 45 or so. It's a pretty good number here to get the map done with time to spare.
Yeah, kind of clean from Oliver right there on the Wrecking Ball. And this is what he offers you. He can play so many different heroes at a very high level. And it works out for them. Kai's going to swap over to the Hanzo again. 3rd point, a bit more closer, a bit more stacked. And Hanzo really allows you to put out a lot of damage onto the enemy team. Junbin is going to be dealing with a lot on top of himself here. So we gotta play cautiously around this angle here. If he gets bionated, it's go time for the Gladiators.
Striker on the Hanzo here as well. Okay, proper duplicate the Ramatra. He's swinging haymakers here, but so far no one willing to receive them. I mean, he can build his ultimate so quick when he hits those punches. There's only 4 seconds left, though. Looks like he's going to be knocked out of duplication anyway. Kai ensures that. Storm Arrow. So the Gladiators now bounce back, springing into action. It's going to be Marvel getting the nano boost here. They want to push up, and Prop's found Kevster already. The pulse bomb from Kevster isn't quite enough. Look, Mino eventually is going to be brought down, but Kevster, his loss is a lot of flexibility off the table here for the Gladiators now, and the sleep on Marvel means this annihilation is probably going to be cut short. Renko playing around the pillar, can barely see, of course, with those effects in play. Don't worry, the colors are client side, not player side, so they're seeing default skins. Renko plays in the back corner, holding on to this nano.
Just playing slowly here. You have the annihilation coming up from Junbin. You have the nano boost. No pressure on the Shock to do anything special right here. They can sit back. Dragon comes out from Striker. Oh, it's a beautiful Dragon. And now the Shock, they can push up. They can regain this position.
Lastro, no chance to escape their shield bash, or no, the angle was just impossible to navigate. Huge pick. You're not always expecting that for your Dragon Strike. Sometimes it's just to create some spacing. It's something that maybe, you know, is a catalyst for a team fight win, but rarely gets it on its own. So San Francisco feeling very good about that one. Almost feels like a freebie. Kai will have a Dragon Strike of his own coming back in. And with these L-shaped corridors, it can be hard to avoid a Dragon Strike that cuts through just like this. But the Shock are able to avoid the gaping maw this time.
Yeah, I don't think they saw there that Lumino was bionated. Instead, it's going to be the Shock going aggressive with the nano boost. Proper gets in there, finds Kai. But it's a minute on the timer here now, Mitch, and Gladiators, they have built up some of these support ultimates. You have the rally and the nano boost coming online. But you gotta find some value here. This is tough. You almost have to win 2 fights here against Shock with this positioning.
I don't feel confident for them at all. The Gladiators, I think San Francisco are pretty well entrenched here. They look pretty comfortable. The bio there from Babel is fine, but it's nothing that you can really capitalize on. Kevster needs to go huge with a pulse bomb here. Johnny, I'm calling it now. He has to make an opening for the Gladiators, otherwise this clock will dwindle further. We're at 28 seconds apiece. Gladiators are going to be behind no matter what happens. It's Kai finding Junbin instead. One of the DPSs from the Gladiators able to step up now, makes it a 5 versus 4. Here's the annihilation for Marvel, hoping to push everybody back. Junbin in a tough spot here, caught in the middle of it. This annihilation is going to be very hard to dance around. This cart is moving. 10 seconds left in the round here, and here comes Junbin with annihilation of his own to try and maybe get us into overtime at the very least here. 5 seconds left. Junbin just needs to stay alive a little longer, and the healing is coming thick and fast. Luke Mino trying to keep him standing. We are into overtime now. Marvel eventually going to be able to roll over Luke Mino. But San Francisco have a 28-second lead. The Glads finishing in overtime means it's only a 1-minute extension.
Oh, Junbin gifted them a lifeline here on Eichenwalde, going down that early with the annihilation as well, and he comes back and he's missing Diana heal, so he can't really keep himself alive on the payload. Crucial mistake there from Junbin on the Ramatra. And now the Gladiators, I mean, you got 1 minute versus 1 minute 28 here in overtime. Whoo! This is anyone's game.
Oh yeah, felt like San Francisco was getting pretty comfortable there, but sometimes, man, Hanzo just serves you up these key kills and you've got to be ready to capitalize on them. Suffice to say, the Glads were as Marvel hurtled into the midst of the shock with Annihilation as soon as the starter's pistol went off, apparently. With only 30 seconds separating these two teams, so much hinges on the approach to point A. And I've got to say, Johnny, I really like the look for the Gladiators, right? I think we saw, was it Striker or Proper got forced out into the open by the Tracer, and then Lastro and Kevster just go in on this two-man goon squad, finding kills and cleaning them out. The Shock are going to have to be ready for that approach this time around.
Yeah, I mean, we know by now that Lastro, he's not afraid to do the more courageous things and going aggressive deep into the backline with Kevster, right? So there is that threat. I do think that neither Shock and the Gladiators, they're happy with their point A defense. So both of these teams could really shore up their point A defense, and that could make all the difference here in overtime. Oh, they're gonna swap.
Alrighty.
They saw something.
What have they seen is the question. We don't really see what the ping actually is, but it's straight to
they're
Brig.
gonna peel.
Ash. I think they see the... I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe seeing the Winston on defense is what makes them feel like they see the play? Maybe it's the back line of
maybe
the
the
Shock.
proper
Unclear.
Echo. I mean, you can play around the pillar, right? You want to sit back and really try to poke out proper, avoid the Echo as much as possible, and now you have the Brig and the Ash to really sit back and make it difficult for the Shock to find an opening here.
You could say the same, though, about the pillar favoring proper, right? You can really use that to break line of sight and just only dive in when there's a guaranteed kill there. Just like that one, man. And yeah, he gets his altitude, he just ducks back around the pillar. That airborne mobility that Echo has really gives him the edge in these situations. Kai is, I don't know what he's cooking, but that one is, it's gone wrong.
It's gone wrong indeed. Kevster, no, don't think so.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, it's like Gordon Ramsay looking at a toasted sandwich on Twitter. You know what I mean? People used to send their pictures of their food and make it purposely cursed. Yeah, that's Johnny right now. But you're much more polite about it. I've got to give you credit. I don't think you get picked up for any big network cooking shows as a result, though. We really need more sensationalism from you in the reaction to this
more sensationalism from me.
Yeah.
All right,
Johnny, I've seen you in improv class, my guy. I've seen you. Those were good days. You got it in you.
Yeah, and I failed to improv right there. Look, I got the amateur casting chops right there, okay? I saw Kevster trying to touch. It's not his fault, he had to touch, but I failed to improvise about saying anything insightful, so I just commented on a Tracer diving in, just sacrificing himself to keep the timer running.
To be fair, I wouldn't exactly say that was stellar improvisation from Kai, who decided that perhaps just going 1v2, 1v3 on the point was the way to get them out of the situation. Look at this.
Oh, it's tough.
Marvel, rough start to the fight. Proper just, he knows. He just has to dive in.
Yeah.
And just dodges away.
Let Renko go. You know, you wanted to see a little Renko highlight. There you go. Making a name for himself here in the big leagues.
Yeah, looking good. I mean, look, 2 key sleeps so far in this round. Very much getting involved in a lot of these engagements here. I will take a final blow. I will say he is being focused out by the Gladiators here. So 9 deaths so far for him. Again, a lot of that pressure's come in as Marvel and Kevster primarily, who's 13-4, by the way, have really got up in his face. Proper, though.
Yeah,
on the Widow. 16 final blows, 8 deaths so far.
Okay. That's up there.
Yep.
16 final blows. Pretty good. That's more than I could achieve in a damage game. I'll say that. I'm a tank player. Committed. So,
almost deadlift territory.
Yeah. I mean, he could be deadlifting right now because he's got the Lucamino Mercy pocket. You know he's gunning for it. He's back in the summer stage, and just as to say that they're swapping. Why do you even bother talking? This is madness.
I get asked that all the time, Johnny. I still haven't figured out how to answer that question. You just do. It's very natural. So we have Junker Queen, Tracer, Genji set up here. This is all in from San Francisco. They're getting dash resets one way or another.
I am scared if I'm Bobble or Lastro, especially when they're flanking around here. It's gonna be ring around the Rosie, and they got point control. What did the Gladiators do here?
I mean, this is like trying to give a bear hug to a cactus. You just do not want to approach. What choice do you have?
Oh, Junbin!
In that Nemesis form. They catch Junbin. Junbin takes a ton of damage. Kai instrumental in finding that elimination. And ultimately going to be credited with it here. Just 11 seconds left for San Francisco to make something happen. Both of these teams falling flat on this overtime offense.
Is this a draw?
Is this a draw, Mitch? I don't think we had have we had a draw this season?
In the current year, we got a draw, ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco and Los Angeles both failing to get any progress in that overtime. Both teams showing vastly different compositions, right? I mean, Kai actually, you know what? I don't get that, Kai. You never smile when you win. Like, you just don't. And you just get on the mic and be like, yeah, well, it's another day at the office. You're smiling now for a draw. That doesn't make any sense.
Hey, he got the pick. He got the winning pick, Mitch. Give him some credit, you know? Junbin sitting on top of the card as Junker Queen, and Kai finds that pick. Playing a ring around the Rosie perfectly, by the way. You know, trying to build some time for Kai to get that pick. And he crucially gets that pick. I mean, that's no easy task. So Kai did his job there. They were on the back foot after failing to capture out point A. So I think the Gladiators, you know, they're pretty happy with that draw here, considering they had to deal with that shock Junker Queen attack.
Yeah, I like the read, right? You have to make that read awfully quick because San Francisco weren't opting to give you much time to sit back and figure it out the long way here. Well, quite a map it's been. It's going to end up in a draw here. Again, this is the first of 3 series. There's still much more Overwatch to be played. A lot of Ramatra here for San Francisco. Them surging ahead on that last part of the attacking side. The Gladiators here, after that key pick on Junmin it was, you see the Gladiators absolutely go for it here. Neither of these teams giving each other an inch. We're getting a match of a quality, Johnny, that we just didn't expect coming into
Map 6. Map 6. I'm calling it now, Mitch. Map 6.
Okay. Johnny,
we're going to be here all day.
Take that map 5 prediction here to account for the draw. I'm okay with that, Johnny. Great way to kick us off here, of course, after our mid-season break. And San Francisco showing us proper, looking, dare I say, rejuvenated, a little revitalized, perhaps. Like I said, very, very close to being in deadlift territory there. I think at one point accounting for 16 of 36 of his team's final blows. So really solid stuff. Yeah, really solid stuff on that Echo. Dorado comes up next. Yep, someone's just added another map there in that end column. That's right. We may get 6 if we're lucky, depending on who you ask. Stick around. Dorado is going to be our 3rd map in this series.
cannot come through, but now Shai is going to Astro. That is the delay tactics widely dealt
in a 4v5. Oh, not quite so much anymore. Kevster dishing out the damage.
This is giving me vibes of Florida against the Atlanta Rain.
What? That is dirty.
A rough return here, just kind of getting bullied.
Oh,
yeah, that was a shot.
Wave hello, maybe goodbye to the rest of your team, Decay, because Lastro's on the field, Nano Zen just to keep him alive.
Well, it's been a lively affair between these two squads as the North versus South rivalry has been renewed. It is the Shock versus the Gladiators here, and the former performing on a much higher level than we perhaps expected. We know that San Francisco, feeling like they're, needed to change something, Johnny, in the mid-season break. I'm trying to find a way to sort of sugarcoat it as much as possible. But they went in a direction that we maybe didn't expect, right? Renko comes in from Redbird Esports and Illinois State University. Lumino, of course, comes across from that Vegas team. Probe as well, who we're now seeing subbed in, comes in from O2 Blast. Big changes for the Shock, and so far, jury might be still out, but they're looking pretty good after 2 maps of play.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good so far. Probe coming into this lineup as well. As you said, we're moving over to Dorado, so you want some long-range hit scan coming into the mix, and this is what the Shock really were missing in the spring stage. I like these moves from the San Francisco Shock, and it just allows you to play with these players a bit more, it makes more sense, right? You don't have to figure out, oh, well, we're going to Dorado, guys. Proper P-Sang. Who wants to play Hitscan and who wants to play Tracer and Sombra and like what are we going to do? Like it's pretty straightforward. You sub in Probe. Probe's a great player. It's come from O2 Blast. And then Proper, you go cook. Go cook.
Go cook, go kill, do whatever it takes to bring us home the W, Proper. We're not picky at this point. Was there 3 and 5 the San Francisco Shock team coming into the second half of the year? A team that has done pretty well with rebuilds in the past. I mean, last year it was almost almost a wholesale rebuild, and they managed to get almost all the way, right? They were a fixture, they were a feature of our playoffs at the end of 2022. This year, it's a rockier start, to be sure. Having a really solid, more than serviceable Sombra player to play alongside Proper on the Tracer is something that the San Francisco Shock desperately needed. So we'll see if Probe is that player to step up. We'll see what they come out with. It will be a defensive Widowmaker, though, here for Kai.
Yep. This is I don't want to say it's an interesting pick because look, I mean, we've seen Widowmaker on Dorado since Alpha, since 2015, and we still had like the Overwatch Discord and stuff like that. So I don't think that's too big of a surprise. But Kai still playing Widowmaker in this year, in this economy, it is not something we see every day. And Probe is going to mirror it as well, coming out of spawn here. I don't think Probe is going to roll out with this Widowmaker, but it is pretty standard to get some shots in here, and then we'll see what he thinks of it.
Decent pressure on Marvel early here. Probe considering extending this stay on the Widow. Okay, so a feign here for Marvel. Looks to drop down, then just jump straight back up. Kai just waiting for someone to reveal themselves, but now the cat's out of the bag about the Widowmaker. How did the Shock respond?
How did the Shock respond? I mean, for now, they have the Widowmaker still, so the Gladiators are pretty limited in how much they can actually show themselves. Probe, he's sitting so far back here, and just the Gladiators, they're forced to back off. Proper finds a pick, putting pressure on the Gladiators here and now. I mean, you can't let this get out of control. You have to retreat so far back right now so that you can recontest the payload ultimately one more time here on point A.
I mean, look where Kai was playing from, Johnny. That felt like a one-and-done position, right? You're not rotating out of that corner on the high ground. And you see him eventually just sort of getting surrounded and caught out by the Shock. Because keeping Marvel alive is kind of integral to the plan of having a Widowmaker play remotely far forward. So losing him, the wheels start to fall off here. That's why the Shock are now, I mean, look at where the card is. Just out in front of the checkpoint with barely a fight. It's just a pick. That's all that really happened that has allowed San Francisco to now be knocking on the door. They better get it together with the Gladiators here, although San Francisco getting a 3.8.
And Kai's over on this Sombra as well. I mean, Bobble trying to stay alive here against the brutal dive from the Shock. Great nade there as well from the backline. I mean, the Shock right here, they're in some trouble here now, because if you lose position, you might get dove here by the Gladiators. Kev's there under pressure, he goes down.
Man, Proper is just, he's filthy. I mean, he is not being denied right now. Sees Kevster almost one-clip the guy, forces him to use all 3 blinks to try and stay away. Really just prolonging the inevitable there. The Nano on Marvel is fine, but a whip shot from Luke Mina will make it very hard for him to get involved, and he can't cycle the Nano into a Primal to stall further. San Francisco have that point A. They do get slowed down a little bit, but I tell you what, we see Proper on the Tracer. Junbin's looking very, very solid, and again, that San Francisco backline are holding it all together.
Yeah, they're looking so good with Probe. Oh, Proper and Probe. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that one. Probe onto this Widowmaker as well. It forces Kai or Kevster to really contest the Widowmaker, right? And when you lose that Sombra, you know, dealing with Junbin, for example, that just frees up Proper and Junbin to have an easier time engaging onto the backline of the San Francisco Shock. Kai has built the CMP, though. It's looking like he's ready to unleash it right on top here on Renko.
Kai gets what he came for now. And Kester's able to get involved there and deal with Probe. So those 2 kills mean this one's pretty much done. The EMP well deployed. And we kind of talked about Kai playing Sombra on the previous map, Johnny, in response to the Wrecking Ball from Junbin. Said, okay, well, maybe Kai's not the most storied Sombra player, but how important is it for this guy, who we known as a primarily hit scan player, to be able to at least flex to the Sombra? Feels like it opens up a lot more for the Gladiators within maps without substitutions available.
Hey man, I don't want to, like, you know, be too harsh on him already, but like, you know, playing Sombra in his career is arguably like super important for someone of this caliber to have a role in the league, right? So it's really important that he flourishes on the Sombra, and they're just keeping the momentum going. Kevster with a nice pulse bomb right there, and this dive from Junbin, it's not going to lend itself too much. They're not going to find these picks. Gladiators doing a great job in diving here.
Yeah, 2 consecutive fights, one really cheaply. The first one off the back of an EMP from Kai, and then Kevster gets the pulse bomb stick. This is elementary, very straightforward Overwatch, and the Gladiators have bought themselves more than a minute off of 2 1-ult fights. They've got to feel good about that rate.
Yeah, feeling pretty good about it so far. And Shock, now this question begs, like, how does Probe sync up with Proper and Junbin? Are they going to take some of their time here and find the backline, or Junbin is forced to unleash his Primal Rage? Or is this going to amount to anything?
Bubble looks to just keep everyone topped up there. Lastro goes for the rally. Looks like no casualties as a result of that from Junbin. So, yes, buy to a little bit of space here, but San Francisco haven't really converted that Primal into high ground control. They've managed to advance the card a bit further, but the game plan remains the same for the Gladiators, and in they come. Proper trying to deal with Kevster again, but he gets topped up. Looks like a repair pack thrown in his direction. And a nano boost on towards Marvel makes him pretty hard to bring down.
Oh.
The hack was in there, sure enough. Kevster pulse bomb, great deployment, but catches himself out there. A late EMP in the fight for Probe. Looks like the Shock are hoping to turn this into something. He has to get outplayed from the courthouse here, but looks like justice will be served either way. San Francisco continue to advance, but it's incremental here.
Yeah, and it's looking fine right now, but Gladiators, they have the ultimates right here. So Shock, yeah, you're pushing the card, but Kai, with this EMP, that's going to be crucial right now.
Straight away, the Gladiators back into that high ground position. Marvel really values being able to play from there. No one else from San Francisco can really make much use of it here, based on their composition. So Marvel and Junbin will duke it out for a little bit. Junbin just trying to allow Renko to charge out towards a nano, but he won't get there. The EMP. Kai says, I just want the Ana. Get that, and we're pretty much done here.
Yeah, and finally some stability here for the Gladiators on point B as well. You know, you get a pick onto the Ana, and that pretty much secures the fight. And now Shock, they're just trying to buy time. They don't want anything to do with this without Renko here to help them out. They are going to build up this nano boost on the side of San Francisco Shock, but Gladiators as well. I think they're feeling comfortable here on the high ground. Marvel is one of those Winstons that we could see go aggressively with the Primal Rage if he finds an opening as well. So this is a great position for the Gladiators to be in with 45 seconds to go.
I like the wraparound here because Junbin can't go to the high ground via like where the card is without breaking line of sight to Renko, basically. So playing from here means that Winston's going to be more durable, able to be topped up more. That's what Marvel's actually trying to disrupt here. Look at throwing the bubble down. This is not necessarily for his own protection so much as it is to break up that healing line of sight. Primal here from Marvel, he says, no, I'm going for it here, why not? Sleep Dart does come in while Probe finds Kai elsewhere, so there's a real window for the Shock, and Marvel knows he's got some heavy lifting to do. Hacked again on the ground, still able to force away Luke Mino for a time, but Proper now is going to make it even worse. Insult and injury come in equal measure as Proper finds 2 there. Pulse onto Babel, Marvel down, and the Shock have a chance to extend this round.
And it's looking likely like they're going to cap point B out here with Marvel and Lastro out of the mix. I don't think we're going to see a touch come in. Oh, Kai gets slapped onto the card and Kevster goes down. Oh, that should be it.
Yeah, Kevster just got ruined by Proper there, almost one-clipped him, knew he was coming. San Francisco get a time extension, up to 90 seconds now, heading into this last phase of the map, and no one told me that, so I guess that they can go to the back spawn. Yikes! unfortunate timing for them here. Looks like they're not able to get back into the rear spawn of the map and get staggered out.
And this buys even more time for Probe to scout, and Probe with this EMP to try to find an opening. I mean, Lastro coming out late from the spawn, Shock has positioning right now. This could be them closing out the map in fast fashion here, unless the Gladiators can build a halter with the support ultimates.
Marvel backs up here, but still wants to try and stake some claim to this high ground, much like he has for this entire round so far. The EMP came in, the answer was good though. Lastro, only given the nano, topped up and kept in the fight. So Probe doesn't end up getting any value for the use of that ultimate, but Proper, well, you better believe he does. Another pulse connection on the Marvel. Winston out of the picture for the Gladiators now, and a two-player Vita Grenade means that Junbin can dive on in here and follow up on that anti-heal. Beautiful stuff. Lastro and Bubble dash to the 4 wins. And now the Gladiators have to trickle in. 22 seconds left in the round. Renko with a really safe distance here, in a great spot to disrupt, and Junbin blows Kai up. He goes for the EMP, he gets it off, but it's not going to be enough. Proper gets involved once more. Marvel again falls to his hand. Biotic Grenade on Proper, he doesn't seem to mind. He knows he needs to extend a little bit further to get the round done here. Astro could be a problem. That shield is annoying. Proper trying to work him down for the time being here. Buy a little bit of time for reinforcements to come for the Shock, and Junbin's going to be returning to the fray on the Wrecking Ball. Marvel over to the Doomfist here, wants to get into the fray as quickly as possible. Sleep on the Junbin. He'll be up and going in no time, though, when Marvel doesn't quite connect the punch. It's Probe who has to get out with a translocator here, but no one's touching the cart. All of the Gladiators forced to spread away from the objective, and San Francisco get it done in overtime.
Boy, are they looking good right now, playing this composition with this new roster. Probe joining this team in the mid-season as well. He's new to this roster. He's never played with Lukemina before. He's never played with Renko before. And they find a way to make it work. You wanted a Gordon Ramsay reference? Finally, some good Overwatch, Mitch. It's looking really good from both teams right now.
Love that. Yes, good to see on this round. I think the Gladiators did quite well, slowing the tempo down when they had opportunities, right? Winning sort of multiple fights and doing really well in terms of their ult economy, right? Not overspending, getting it done off the back of Kai, and then Kevster just, landing pretty effective ultimates from those DPS positions. I would say, like, the Gladiators played it pretty safe. We saw San Francisco make the rotation just outside of the power plant, right? They go right around the outside to try and make sure that Junbi can play more aggressively. He doesn't have to, like, leave the line of sight of his Ana player. That's when Marvel, maybe overextends a bit to try and to kill the backline, and then Proper does Proper things. He has 11 final blows for 2 deaths right now out of his team's total of 23 final blows.
I mean, it's like putting Max Verstappen in a Red Bull, right? Like, you got a great car. Like, he's got a great car, just let him cook. He's doing great stuff, He's got a good team now, just enable him to do his thing, and that is what Proper doing. 11-2, he's playing some of his best Overwatch right now.
Yeah.
In this setup. And honestly, you mentioned 3-5 record for the Shock in this matchup going into the summer stage. That's a disappointing result, and so now you're seeing what they can do when they find some momentum, and some of these players really showing what they can do. Lukemina, for example, he's been on Vegas Eternal. I mean, his win-loss column isn't looking too hot, but now here on the Shock, he's showing what he can do alongside some of these great players.
San Francisco get their engines running early here in the second half of the season. Kevster just trying to slowly make his way around the outside here, and maybe just on Renko. He lines him up. Sticky bombs, though, don't connect. Dicing with death now is Kevster as he falls right in front of Proper. Probe a little low. Junbin delaying the what is this? I don't know how that works. Physics, an afterthought for Wrecking Ball players, apparently. Junbin now with that adaptive shielding, going to stay nice and healthy as he continues to disrupt here, but he's being ignored for the most part by the Gladiators. He'll work the car to prevent it from moving up here, but the Gladiators have other plans. They're trying to push deep into the backline of the Shock, who for the most part, Johnny, are doing well, keeping themselves alive, with the exception of the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, taking a little bit too much damage there, and it's hard to operate here on this very point. Let's see how they break this choke. It's going to be tough. Gladiators just pushing forward. I mean, they're just steaming ahead, and the Shock, can they touch here? Proper wants to. He's got a pulse bomb. Junbin's back. EMP comes out. Junbin finds a pick on the bubble, and this is Shock holding their ground.
The Probe did well. He was getting spy checked as he tried to back away from the cart. I thought he was surely done, but the Gladiators don't choose to pursue him at all. And the timing's perfect. EMP comes out, Junbin with the pile driver, and all of a sudden San Francisco are back in a position to execute this defense.
Back in a position indeed, and now you have the nano boost as well, and Proper with a pulse bomb. It's going to be tough for Gladiators to really break this here. You could go aggressively with the nano boost if you opt to, but instead I think they're going to poke and prod here a little bit. Bobble goes down. It's an aggressive dive. I mean, Junbin on this Wrecking Ball, they're going to take every opportunity they have to push aggressive. They're not going to leave any opportunity go by, because that is what they can do with the pace with this Wrecking Ball. You're not playing a Winston idling around the corner and waiting for a team to really move up into a position where you feel comfortable to dive. Instead, the Shock and Junbin on this Wrecking Ball, they're pushing past their boundaries to really go very deep with this Wrecking Ball and put so much pressure on a backline like the Gladiators. Like, oh, what is this? Like, you just
he can't stop moving. What is that movie where Jason Statham, I think, if he stops, he dies, and he just has to keep going? I forget it. We're a terrible movie, by the way. Do not recommend. But Junbin, thank you. Great. Thank you very much. Production straight in my ear with that one. That is Junbin right now. This guy has to keep moving, otherwise it's all over. So far, so good. Poking, prodding, probe, finding Babel there, and it's going to be the Gladiators with just over a minute here to make something happen. This very dynamic San Francisco defense is hard to break.
I mean, they're so screwed, right? Because Kevster is over onto that Echo. So do you want to play Echo Sombra? Do you want to try to contest this ball with a Sombra? Like, the swaps just doesn't make sense. You built up 5 ultimates as well. The Gladiators are just in a world of trouble. Like, you just need to use the ultimates at this point, but then again, are you going to build them back up? It's 45 seconds to go. A full hold is looking very likely here if you can't secure any of this value from these ultimates. Kai, are you going to go to that Sombra or stick to the Tracer?
That is the question. At any rate, Johnny, the odds of him building an ultimate on either of those heroes are slim to none at this stage. The Gladiators are going to have to make it work with what they have. They've got Duplicate, Primal, Nano, Rally, all key ultimates in their own rights here, but can you make it work? Probe goes for an EMP here. Looks like Astro got immediately nanoed in response. So that's Babel's ultimate now being drawn out. Kevster with the duplication here for the Ana by the looks of things, but gets caught in a maelstrom of bullets and thrown hands. He's going to have to get back out of there in Echo form. Junbin got caught though. Looks like maybe slept by it at the very least, and the sticky bombs are enough to finish the job here. Plum from Marvel as he hops, skips and jumps into the backline, and Renko is brought to bear. Now it's a matter of getting rid of the Brig, and finally the Gladiators, when push comes to shove, they're able to find a way to break through.
And it is Gladiators struggling to find some momentum there, but they get the job done. I mean, you saw Kevster duplicate Diana to try to look for a biotic grenade opening, but it doesn't get any value because Marvel is by his lonesome in the backline. Now Marvel, credit to him, gets a nice Primal Rage, 2 picks right there to secure point A. But it is these small things for the Gladiators with a brand new main tank, probably playing from Korea, I should know that, but small issues that really, you know, make it difficult for the Gladiators to win. I guess a top-tier team like the Shock here playing this Wrecking Ball composition.
Need to see the Gladiators win this next fight. If they get snarled up on this part of the map, it looks pretty dire in terms of the time remaining. Junbin here again. Hard to follow. Need a high refresh rate to know what this guy is doing, that is for sure. Playing from the top of that overpass there, he's just able to bide his time and then look for an opportunity to get engaged with the fight, but the Gladiators actually did the opposite. They back away there. They lose a bit more time, but Probe gets run down by Kai. Yeah, he sees a very low health Sombra. He goes in for the kill.
Great opening there by Kai, but Proper is going to get him back. I mean, you're opting into the Tracer duel. You're going to have to deal with Proper as well. It's tough, so yeah. Now it's a 4 versus 4 situation. And this is going to enable the Gladiators to push forward here a little bit. And this provides a little bit of an opening. I mean, Marvel has a shortcut. He can jump straight up here. And Kevster as well. He can bob his way up there and maybe duplicate Diana. Find a biotic grenade opening, but instead it's going to be Probe that goes first with EMP. No value though.
They caught Marvel, so I guess they force him to jump away, and he gets a heal pack immediately from Lastro. Buys a little bit of breathing room for the Shock, but they might need a little bit more than that. Kevster knocked out a dupe once more. Junbin just a perennial issue here. Not sure how to deal with him, but eventually the combined forces of everybody, including every one of the Power Rangers, is able to bring him down. Kai, nice pulse bomb there, stick on Luke Mino. Finishes him off, and the Gladiators with 38 seconds left. They're in there with a real shot at this.
Oh yeah, real shot at this as well. I mean, there's going to be a recontest here from the San Francisco Shock, and you have a pulse bomb from Proper. You have the Nonobus as well. The touch is going to come in from Probe.
Hack on the Brig from Probe. So far, he's not really being bothered too much. Junbin, though, gets a nano. So does Marvel. Both Winstons are buzzing. Proper's forced to recall out of that one, goes very low, and the pulse bomb doesn't quite find its mark. Now upstairs goes Junbin, wants to harass Kevster away, but he's constantly being healed by Lastro. Eyes fixed on the Echo. Junbin can't stay alive in the middle part of this fight, and Probe has to get out. He's looking for a health pack at best, but that checkpoint had long since come up, and the Gladiators have 90 seconds to finish the map.
I think we're headed for a draw, Mitch. No,
Don't.
no, I'm kidding.
Not again.
San Francisco. San Francisco Shock.
7, baby.
That would be a first. Probe's got this EMP though. The Gladiators are setting up early and they're trying to poke the Shock here. Try to find an opening perhaps with Bubbles, Biotic Grenade, and maybe setting up Marble here to find an opening. But Kevster, oh, don't die too early. It's going to be all about Probe here with the EMP. If he can find a target, that's going to open the door for Shock to really settle here on the defense.
High expectations already resting on this young rookie's shoulders. An EMP here to really hamstring the Gladiators is in order, and it's a 3-player catch. Probe able to get rid of Kai here, forcing Bubble and Lastro away, who were hacked. But getting rid of the Tracer could be pretty big. Proper, though, can't prosper. Run down by Lastro with the shield bash, and Kevster in duped out of form. That's probably half the reason why it's so hard for the Tracer to find an elimination for San Francisco. 4 versus 4, but Proper has spawn advantage, although it's both Tracers returning to the fray, so may not be an important comparison. Kevster low. Watch out for those Winston right clicks. He has to dodge them and he can't get away. Junbin finds him. Luke Manu inside rally is going to get brought down by Marvel's Primal with the Pulse Romb from Proper. This time finds its mark. Travels out of the mix. Proper tries to stay scarce as much as he can. But the rally comes out now. We can only really just stand on the periphery and try and do damage. It's Junbin coming in with the Primal. The card got awfully close there, but Kai can't shepherd it home, and the Winston now comes back to roost. Kai can't touch. And the Shock get it done. It's a hard-fought series so far, but they enter the break up 2-0.
Oh, what a back and forth. I mean, you trade out. It's a 3 versus 3 situation, and there's no support on the field for the San Francisco Shock. Instead, they rely on the damage players and Junbin, of course, to find those picks and secure the point in the end. I mean, this is sweaty. This is sweaty right here, Mitch. All of these team fights, it's coming down to the wire, really. But Shock, they're up 2-0 in this series now. The Gladiators got to be kicking themselves. They've got to feel like they should have had a shot at one of these 3 maps, right? Proper on this Tracer, though. I mean, impeccable.
Yeah, I mean, incredible series. Kevster at one point as well was in deadlift territory. I think he was 7 of 12 of his team's final blows here. But in pure volume, Proper definitely able to outshine here. Probe has a tough, game on his hands, right? We see Kevster moving on to the Echo. Kai on the Tracer, who, by the way, definitely had some moments where he was able to make things happen, but this was crucial for Probe. In this part of the fight, San Francisco are kind of on the back foot. Probe got spy checked, forced away from the card. He lets the EMP go, and the timing is perfect because Junbin returns immediately. Johnny, this Wrecking Ball is a problem.
It is a big problem. Yeah, and especially like if you're the Gladiators, because how do you really deal with this? They did find a way to push past there on Dorado and force Junbin onto the Winston. But you're just seeing, like, when Shock are enabled to play the Wrecking Ball, like, they're chaotic mad scientists. Like, they're just chaos all over the place, and it's not something you can practice against. And so it puts a tough task on the Gladiators here, having to deal with Junbin's Wrecking Ball on all of these points, and you lose so much time on the attack.
Colosseo coming up next in this series. San Francisco, I mean, picture this, coming in out of the mid-season break, 3-0ing. The Gladiators will be quite the sight to see. And it's on the cards. Stick around, everybody. Map number 4 in this series is coming up. With a set jaw and a look of grim determination, Overwatch's John Wick enters the fray once more. Proper and the San Francisco Shock are back after a mid-season break that's seen the team look a little different, but I tell you what, this guy is still sharp as ever. 15 final blows, 3 deaths on Dorado.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I mean, someone is crying out there, Mitch. They're like, no, not the proper propaganda again, no. Oh, we can't have this again. The reigning MVP.
The stories write themselves.
Yeah, come on now. He's one of the best players in the league. I'm just happy to see one of the best players in the league perform to the peak of his ability, and we saw that right there. 15-3. Oh, he's looking good right now. And also the Shock, I mentioned to you in the break. I'm just happy that the Shock are playing pretty formidably as well. You know, they're the most successful franchise in the team's history. I want them to be a gym trainer that like you run into and you're like, oh, this is a challenge. You know, at least not something you meet in the wild, right? So I'm glad that the Shock are showing us something good here. I predicted a 3-0 for the Gladiators, and now they are up 2-0 here after 3 maps and a draw, right? So
like, you want the Shock to at least be like a mini boss and not the guy that gives you the dungeon map.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Is that too much to ask for? I'm not simping out of control here, asking for them to win the entire thing again. I'm not asking for Proper to be MVP. I just want them to be, at least a step on the ladder towards winning the title. And I think we're seeing right now what the Shock are able to do when they really unlock Proper to do his thing, but also what they're able to do when you're seeing some great players come in here and with the great synergy and understanding of what it takes to play good Overwatch.
Yeah, look, I think Overwatch League is always fun when San Francisco are in the mix and in the conversation as a top team. Yaki subbing in here for the Gladiators, of course. Again, like we saw Kai, maybe, look, I wouldn't say playing outside of his comfort zone, but, you know, we don't expect to see him on the Sombra. We don't expect to see him on the Tracer, right? We saw him playing like this defense Widowmaker on Dorado, which is a big risk because if it doesn't work out, then you have to spend the rest of the map, which is like 80% of Dorado, playing something else and making it work. So Kai did pretty well, I think, all things considered, but Yaki definitely feels like a better fit for that Tracer Sombra role player alongside Kevster, who had a very good showing, but again, not enough to outshine Proper. Probe's going to stay in. I'm curious on your feeling, Johnny, about Probe coming out of Dorado.
I'm feeling pretty good about Probe, to be honest. I'm feeling good about how he joins this roster as well and what he can do for this roster. I think his role is pretty determined, being able to play these long-range hit-scan heroes, but also we saw the Sombra right there on Dorado. He's helping his team towards success, utilizing the EMP to find these picks early in fights as well. This is sort of what the Shock wanted to do. They wanted someone who can play the long-range hit-scan heroes, but also fill in on that Sombra if need be when you need him, right? So looking good for Probe right now. Again, early days. This is his very first Overwatch League match, joining from O2 Blast, so we'll have to see what it can bring us here on Colosseo, but for now, looking pretty good.
We didn't see a lot of Colosseo, I feel like, in the mid-season madness. Again, it was, you know, map pick, and a lot of the time teams preferred to go towards Esperanza when it came up to push here. I think Colosseo, pretty polarizing map. There, you know, we have this weird combination of, long sight lines, but then verticality coming up at different times in the map, and, you know, being able to find the right tank to navigate both of those scenarios can be difficult. Well, that's why we see Doomfist pop up on this map, right? Because sometimes his lateral mobility is quite desirable, combined with his obviously verticality. See lots of Winston on this map. We've seen Junker Queen play. We've seen Wrecking Ball as well here. So lots of options. Do we see like a pocketed situation for San Francisco?
Ain't no way.
If Echo's
Ain't
a
no
fixture,
way.
then...
But Lucamino and Lucio, though, boosting his teams out of spawn. And are they going to commit to this?
Out of the brink.
No, yeah, onto the brink.
Very standard comps here this time from both sides, Johnny.
Yeah,
fine. I'm fine.
Very, very standard. I mean, this is pretty much what the meta is, right? I think we're just at a stage right now where, depending on the map design, you can't shy away from this. And Junbin, I mean, he's not wasting any time getting to on top of Lastro right there.
Yeah, like Junbin dropped down with his bubble there. I think, you know, Proper and Junbin were there in time, and there was no bubble from Marvel to protect Lastro, who got dove on, so he's got blown to smithereens. Probe coming out with credit for those 2 kills, but a great start to the round. Just as the bot unlocked, San Francisco were there, and all 5 of them ready to rumble.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because when you think of this map, you think about like 50-second stalls and just poking and prodding. Well, I mean, no one in these compositions is really poking and prodding, right? So you might as well get to it, and the Shock do just that, building up the meters already. But now you have this aggressive positioning. Junbin with some pretty, you know, unique positioning here in the window as well. He can get into the backline without really committing the leap, and so he's posing a threat here for the Gladiators that they have to think about when they engage.
I love that we're in meters here. You know what I mean? I think
Oh,
the only
yeah.
time that
Oh,
Americans
boy.
use meters is for swimming.
That's what
You
I'm
know I mean?
talking
I know we
about.
Yeah, I'm about it. Babel flattened here. San Francisco get a great start of their fight. Look, a little bit of filler for that moment there because San Francisco have already built up to those very scary ultimates. Probe is way ahead in EMP charge. He's looked very good so far this map. Already there's 2 final blows alongside Proper's 2 here. San Francisco are chomping at the bit and the Gladiators are really.
I mean, it's 8:30 to go, but I feel like this is a key moment in this push map as well. Because, I mean, are you just going to walk into Probe's EMP here? You have to contest here before the... oh! Did he get anything? He just hit
pulled the
Marvel.
plug pretty early there. Yeah, I guess maybe some crossed wires perhaps for San Francisco as Probe was looking to set that fight up with an EMP and then translocates away very fast. Maybe we're already getting blown up very quickly. So San Francisco ultimately don't get to leverage that in order to take that first checkpoint. They're going to wish they had that one back.
Yeah, they wish they had that one back, and Kevster with the pulse bomb as well. There's going to be the Gladiators securing this fight. But hey, I'll say this, okay? I'll say this. These are new players on the Shock right here. They're trying to build synergy together. I like the principle they're setting of trying to be aggressive. Yeah. Probe telling himself, hey guys, I'm going to go aggressive with this EMP. It's very easy to sit back, but at least they're trying to build this aggressive playstyle in mind, and I fully support that. So, you know, it didn't work out that time, but look, I'll give them some time to figure out their synergy right here. Now it's going to be the Gladiators, and Yaki finds a pick on the other end right here. So this is Gladiators building on the attack here, and now they're probably going to be able to secure this high ground and make it even more difficult for the Shock to defend.
Really straightforward that was. Just hack the enemy armor and get the Winston diving on in there. Junbin not able to get back to safety there. Marvel just sat up on that high ground perch, and this has been a very swingy map so far. The Gladiators winning 2 fights back-to-back. This one, they win without really having to use any ultimates whatsoever, which is a huge boon because the real fighting's just about to begin. When this bot gets under this bridge, that's when the Gladiators are going to want to make use of these key abilities, these ultimates they've saved up. And Yaki's actually catching up to Probe on that EMP charge as opposed to being about 50% behind prior.
Oh. Marvel's gotta stay alive here though. This is Shock using their ultimates, trying to be aggressive, but they can't find any picks. Bobble with Anonymous and Lastro with the rally, keeping the backline alive. And now the Gladiators can stabilize here perhaps.
Jimmy doesn't feel too bad, I think, about disengaging because he didn't waste his primal. He goes in there with the nano, builds primal, then he realizes he has to get out. Probe this EMP, much better looking, able to secure the kill on Babel, and Probe's able to get away, get the mega health pack, and draw Marvel out of position. San Francisco, though, want to double down here. Surely they're going to commit further to really getting some meterage back under their belt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but you gotta be careful because Yaki has that EMP. One step too far, and Yaki will capitalize on that. The Gladiators are going to be happy, content, sitting on this high ground. This is what we talk about when we talk about Colosseo, sitting back, but Yaki, he's looking, and there's the dive.
Yeah, once again, it's Yaki combining with Marvel. Kevster was in position this time around as well. San Francisco going to have a tough time keeping their backline protected against the EMP. Not much they can do about that, really. But happy to at least get the bot in somewhat neutral territory. By the time they're off respawn, they'll be back in advantageous position to try and retake here. Very close in terms of total meterage, though. Both these teams pushing a lot of just a couple fights strung together.
Yeah, and the way these ultimates have played out, I mean, Probe is closer to the EMP, but this is an opportunity for both Proper and Kevster to find an opening pick with the pulse.
Okay, both Winston's making their dives here. Looks like Marvel knocked off course and has to use Primal actually just to get where he needs to be there. The whip shot, I think, knocked him awry. And he's going to use that Primal to find a kill on Luke Mino. Unsuccessful pulse bomb there from Proper. This leaves Marvel, I mean, in great position to rip through the backline of the Shock.
They're going to take the lead here. I mean, they're going to clean up here. Proper forced to push back. Yeah, he's not going to go down there. He's got the pockets from Rego coming in, but... Yeah, or you're going to get the checkpoint. Oh, Probe goes down. That's awful for the Shock right here. This is going to be so much push for the Gladiators.
Good touch, though. I mean, the recall timing from Proper perfect. Keeps him alive. Junbin hiding inside the bubble, able to get some stall now into the final rage. He wants to make sure they don't give up this checkpoint for free. In dies Luke Mino. Geronimo, he says, with the rally in play. And the Shock are able to hold the Gladiators off from the checkpoint. What a great little turnaround there. Like you mentioned, a team only recently formed, able to put together a great defense where it really counts. The Shock maintain the lead now over halfway into the round.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the statistics. You're not supposed to win these 4 versus 5 fights, and the Shock find a way to make it happen with the Primal Rage and the Rally. And oh boy, I mean, that's going to be a big sigh of relief there for the Shock, not falling to that early pick onto Probe. And now, here's Probe on the other end.
EMP there, but Nano Boost straight away, giving over to Lastro. Impossible really to break through that. And now Lastro gets to use that ability a little bit more offensively. Junmin, yep, overextends there, gets a little bit too close, and Yaki will make it impossible for him to properly escape. So now the Gladiators get to have another crack at this, Johnny. The bot is going to absolutely hoon across the map right in front of this checkpoint. There will be time for the Shock to get there and fight. Probe needs to not get caught.
Oh, this is so close. There's less than a little bit more than a meter separating both of these teams. And I mean, 3 minutes 30. We're getting close towards the end there, Mitch. Like a couple of these fights could make all the difference.
I like this posturing from San Francisco. Even though both their supports were still in spawn, they get aggressive. They set the line of scrimmage really far forward, so it slows the Gladiators down. That EMP though, that's a nice one. Renko again just has to throw up his hands inside. There's not a lot you can do in that situation. Proper finds a nice pulse bomb on a Babel, but that's the checkpoint finally coming up for the Glads. Proper doing work, but it doesn't matter. It's the objective that the Gladiators choose to play instead.
Gladiators, they find the cap right there, but both of those picks enables the Shock to regain control of their point. So the Gladiators are not going to push some ridiculous distance. This can be the Shock. Just winning 1 or 2 more fights here, and they could be back in control. Pro fights an early pick up the Kevster. Oh, this could be the map.
That's big. There's an opportunity here for San Francisco, but Yaki takes Probe down just after EMP came out, and I guess with Marvel and Primal Rage, there's no chance to get value off that Probe EMP. It's another rough one for San Francisco. Just when it looked like they had a real opening to equalize at least. 2 minutes 23 on the clock. The Gladiators have a slim lead now, and they want to start to stretch their legs a little further. Into the back line we go. Lumino disintegrates. Renko hacked. Can't do too much. To stand and receive. San Francisco here, man. They're close, but losing that fight there with the player advantage. Losing a 5 versus 4, that's going to hurt.
It's gotta hurt indeed. I mean, Proper is trying his hardest as well, and like both teams playing really well here, but you can just see the Gladiators, Yaki and Kevster on the Sombra Tracer. They're so comfortable. Bobble here with the Nani boost. Let's see if they can push the advantage here. Pulse Bomb's gonna miss from Proper, and now it's all back in the Gladiators' court. What ultimates are they gonna compete here offensively?
1 minute 43 left. Nano boost over to Lastro once more just to protect him, but there was no pulse, there's no EMP, so it's actually, I guess, proactive. They're trying to use that aggressively. Lastro, though, gets taken down because the Biotic Grenade connects with him. Renko able to finish the job despite the Nano boost in play. San Francisco obviously using one of their own here, but in a position to challenge. 1 minute 20 seconds left in the round. It's only 2.74 meters separating these two teams total. This is anybody's map.
Yaki has EMP here, no support ultimates.
Goes for it, Junman caught out, doesn't have a chance to use that Primal Rage here, but it's going to be traded instantly. Proper gets rid of Yaki. 4 versus 4 now, but Kevster has a Pulse Bomb. Can he make judicious use of it here? The bot is encroaching ever further into Gladiators territory, and Kevster and Marvel are low. Good Bio Grenade connection onto Marvel, and Probe takes down Kevster. Comes back into the fight to redeem himself now, and the bot is getting close. 49 seconds left of the round, and the Pulse Bomb is good on Marvel. Here come the San Francisco Shock, make it 2 for Proper. Cutting a bloody swathe through the Gladiators, and the Shock get themselves on equal footing. They've got the checkpoint now. They want just a little bit more. They may end up giving up their lives here just for a bit of extra progress. Probe goes for an EMP elsewhere to try and pressure Babel down, but Kevster is going to stick Luke Mino, take him down, and Renko has to back away. These two teams are on equal footing in this map with 20 seconds left.
Both teams have capped a point, but because of the stall, neither has pushed too far. Shock looking to close out the series right there, but because Gladiators hold it, they're tied with 10 seconds to go. This is madness.
Johnny, you might get what you asked for.
This is nuts.
And getting a draw on push will be absolutely ridiculous here. Here come the Glads. We are in overtime now. Leave the bot at your own peril. Marvel goes back, of course. The Gladiators will be the first team to have a chance to try and swing this back in their favor. Nanoboost towards Marvel. Luke Mino under a lot of pressure, trying to shield Bash away. He does get to safety for a time. Then Marvel wants to return to the fight and spread his influence toward the front line instead. Up to the high ground once more. Really wants to make it so Probe can't hack targets with impunity, but Marvel is hacked himself. Forced to play the low ground now, and that Primal Rage is about to expire. He's able to get away, but Proper has a Pulse Bomb, and he's looking to make use of it here. Into the Catacombs he goes. He doesn't quite find the stick, but he finds the armor regardless. San Francisco have a real crack at this now. The pendulum swings back the other direction. San Francisco have already got the checkpoint. They just have to exceed their total so far, and the map will be theirs.
And no support ultimates for the backline of the LA Gladiators. Probe has an EMP. He wants to go early here onto Lastro. Find a pick.
EMP to start the fight off. Lastro gets caught. This is what the Shock wanted. A 5 versus 4 now as Junbin drops comes down to the low ground, calmly. EMP comes in now from Yaki, it catches onto 2, but the Nano goes to Lukamina when he stays alive. Here come the San Francisco Shock. They've got the numbers, the bot's got to get across the line, and they'll snatch the series away. What a way to finish in Colosseo, and what a way to make your grand entrance, a newly formed roster after mid-season break. San Francisco are back.
Oh my God, what a banger of a series right there. 3-0, but we played 4 maps. It was back and forth the entire distance. That was one of the best Colosseo maps I've seen as well. You can't be too disappointed if you're either team, but that was a crucial win for the San Francisco Shock. Going into this matchup, 3-5 record, they needed to get off to a hot start in the summer stage, and they just did that against the Gladiators with a 3-0 fashion.
Yeah, look, one big step closer to 500 for the season, which is really important for this team, having such a slow start. But a win against someone, I mean, not to mention bragging rights, but just a win against someone like the Gladiators, who has always been a potential threat when we get to the playoff end of our competition so far in 2023. So getting a win against them feels like a proof of concept. It feels like really starting on the right foot here, because San Francisco, I don't know what it is about this team, but they make great use of rookies. Their rookies always hit the ground running and look excellent straight off the bat. It's what happened last year with this squad as well. So got to give them credit for putting this together in the short time that they have. On the other side, Johnny, the Gladiators make a change to their team. Without Dante here, they look a little rudderless here, maybe lacking the conviction that's needed to sort of win these fights, especially in an aggressive mirror like this Winston head-to-head.
Yeah, look, Marvel, I think he struggled a little bit in this series. I don't think it was his fault they lost, but still, Marvel new on this roster, and again, probably playing with some ping, right? It's going to be some time for the Gladiators to learn how to play with their tank. So that's where you saw like the two opposite sides of the coin. Marvel getting adjusted to a new team in the Winston role, and you're pivotal, right? You gotta dive in, you gotta set the pace for your Tracer and your Sombra. And on the other side of things, I think the Shock, considering that they have 3 new members on this team who are now syncing up together, we saw that they had a great understanding of what they wanted to achieve, and then the mechanical skill and the great game IQ from all these players really just combined for some great Overwatch from the Shock.
Let's talk player of the match here, Johnny. A player that hasn't really entered the conversation for this title so far this season. Junbin absolutely deserves that honor today. The Wrecking Ball, he was heralded as a great Wrecking Ball player, one to watch. It's nice to get to see it unironically played and with great efficacy. It wasn't just an Ilios as we suspected it might be. When it came out on Dorado, Junbin was able to have instant impact on this hero. And that's a scary prospect for any team that doesn't have a Wrecking Ball player that might have to go up against this strategy.
It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, his uptime playing the Wrecking Ball as well, always up to something. And he's going to be enabled to play more of that Wrecking Ball when you're seeing more of the Tracer and Echo compositions, right? And some of these maps really open the door for him. But similarly, the Winston as well was really good for him. Taking a look at his Wrecking Ball stats this match, I mean, 17 eliminations per 10 minutes, 1.9 deaths. I mean, you're playing Wrecking Ball, so being able to stay alive, that's like a huge key right there. But really impressed with Junbin, I gotta say. I mean, this summer stage could be really good for Junbin, and more of what we expected from him going into this season.
And it's not just the stats that make him look so good, that made such an impact. It's forcing a player like Kai to play Sombra against his Wrecking Ball on a map like Eichenwalde, right? You probably want Kai to be on hit scan. It's where he's his strongest. It's where he gets to be more than just like maybe like a utility player or someone that's trying to counter a certain strategy. But when Kai is over on the Sombra or on the Tracer, right? You definitely feel like it's a little bit less comfortable for the Gladiators. A glaring weakness perhaps in their game plan, Johnny. A lot of fun to catch this one with you. Great to see the San Francisco Shock bounce back in a big way. I think we've got a ton to talk about after our first day back after the mid-season madness. So we're going to take a quick breather. We're going to come back. We're going to break down the date. That was, of course, I've been Mitch Leslie here with Jon Snow, Johnny Snowden, of course. We'll see you guys after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Whoa, what a match! And Johnny, I'm gonna give you some break. Take a breather, drink some water. Great job on casting, and of course, Mitch as well, as always. Great job casting. What a match! San Francisco Shock coming in strong with their new lineup. They're looking really good. So Johnny, you take a breather. Jake, let's talk about this match.
Yeah.
Walk us through it.
We've got to. I mean, Junbin, I think on the Wrecking Ball has to be the highlight of the match. I mean, we've criticized the Shock a lot, I think fairly, for not really finding their footing on the tank role, not knowing what they're doing. But Junbin on the ball, this is definitely a specialty hero for him, and one that Shock made work to great effect, looking really coordinated with the Tracer Sombra, and also a hero that can kind of play to this Western support lineup where when you play the Wrecking Ball, it's not as crucial that you're like always one-to-one in sync with the supports. As long as you get the heals on ball, you'll be okay. It's more about syncing that perfect dive with your DPS players, and the supports just need to stay alive, keep healing, keep charging those ultimates, and just be very, very hard to kill. And they delivered on that in spades. Lukmino and Renko came together with a lot of not just big plays this series, but also nice rotations, nice dodges of the dives coming in. And I mean, Marvel, I think, looked great on the Winston. He had great primals, big juggles, caught a lot of players. And yet it was just Lukmino and Renko did a great job keeping each other alive. I think it was really highlighted on the Colosseo overtime in particular. Closer series in the scoreline would suggest, but you've got it. I mean, again, it's a 3-0, right? Like, yeah, they made it close, but it's a 3-0. And so for Shock, they're feeling great about this rebuild. I still am okay with Gladi. I think this is just Shock came out way stronger than expected. That's how I feel about this match.
Jake, is it too early to say the Shock that we know and love, they're back? Is it too early? Is it too early to say that?
I think it's actually kind of fair, honestly.
Oh.
Like, I mean, Gladi is a big win. I mean, I don't look at Marvel and say, oh, he had a bad performance. Like, Marvel's not fitting into the team. Gladi's weak. No, Gladi played well. They played their game that we see them play a lot. I think this was the Shock that I was expecting to see this whole season. Probe looked great. I mean, we only saw a little bit of Striker, but he looked great as well. The combination of these DPS players, proper, maybe in a more consistent wheelhouse, able to play for the most part Tracer this series, but looking really, really good. So for Shock, it's like, these were the questions we set out for them. You know, DPS, are they gonna figure out the hero swaps? Tank, like what heroes are they picking? Are they gonna just give one player starting time? And support, are Lukmino and Renko gonna work? All three of those questions have been answered and they all look good.
I think just short and sweet, like the happiest takeaway for me from this series is just that we saw two really good teams go head to head. And we're not sitting here in the post-show and like questioning their hero decisions or like their player swaps or like who should play what hero. It was just really a competitive series between both teams and playing good Overwatch without much hesitation. And I think not having hesitation in your game, that's a great step towards, you know, achieving success and playing good Overwatch.
And I also want to highlight, you know, San Francisco Shock's tank player, Junbin, with the Wrecking Ball. Like, I was like, when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, is he gonna continue playing it? And he did, and he looked fantastic. And I thought that was very intriguing and very exciting to see as well.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, will that hero take hold? That was a convincing performance from Junbin. It made me look, oh, wow, maybe this hero's legit. Like,
I looked so good. Like, he was all over the place.
But you need a specialist. It's a hero that it's almost as hard as Winston to just pick up and play. And while so many players this season have been like trying to build up their Winston game, I don't think anybody's been grinding Wrecking Ball trying to get ready for that. No one's seen that coming. So if Shock can like make this the new meta, I mean, who knows? That's a way in against tougher opponents as well.
All right, I mean, talking about Junbin and his Wrecking Ball, we actually got Junbin for the post-match interview. The initiator of Hamster Meta is on the line, so let me head over there and ask him some questions.
What's it like to ball out of control?
I do want to ask that, but I don't know if I could translate that and make it funny, so I'm just going to skip over it. Junbin, congratulations on getting the win. Now, I want to start this interview off with a question about your new teammates. You guys recently have new teammates, and you guys, of course, have you guys put up a great fight today against the Los Angeles Gladiators. How's it like playing with your new teammates? 자, 첫 번째 질문은 좀 더 쉬운 질문으로 일단 제일 큰 질문은 오늘 경기에 들어오면서 좀 새로운 팀원들과 같이 합을 맞추고 오늘 승리를 거두셨는데요. 이렇게 새로운 팀원들이랑 같이 이렇게 게임을 해보니까 좀 어떠신가요?
이번에 이제 이번 시즌 연습할 때 새로운 팀원들이랑 다시 합 맞추면서 연습을 열심히 해서 좀 괜찮은 것 같아요, 이번 시즌 초반에는.
I mean, it's still really early in the stage as well, so we're getting a lot of practice, but it really feels good. We're getting a lot more practice. We're building communication, and I think it's going really well. And I also think that it's really showing, of course, in today's match against Gladiators, because you guys beat them 3-0. Another interesting thing for the San Francisco Shock, and you specifically, is your Wrecking Ball play. I think that played a huge part in today's win for the San Francisco Shock. how'd you guys come up with the decision to run the wrecking ball? 자, 방금 말씀하셨다시피 뭐 합도 중요하지만 제가 봤을 때는 준빈 선수의 레킹볼이 오늘 승리를 거둔 데 굉장히 큰 역할을 했다고 생각을 하거든요. 이 레킹볼을 쓰게 된 어떻게 이유가 좀 따로 있을까요? 어떻게 해서 레킹볼을 이렇게 기용하게 되셨나요?
이번 시즌 처음에 이제 연습할 때 윈스턴도 이제 점점 저희가 승률도 낮아지기도 했고 이제 다들 약간 다이브식이 아니라 이제 거점 위주로 게임을 하다 보니까 그냥 어차피 정면 거점 싸움을 할 거면 그냥 레킹볼로 좀 더 힘을 실차해서 연습해보게 된 것 같아요.
Yeah. I mean, throughout the season when we're doing practices, we integrated a lot more Winston dives, but we realized that when we're playing Winston at San Francisco Shock, we weren't really diving the opponents. We're sort of controlling the point as Winston. So as a team, we thought, hey, if we're controlling the point, why don't we just, instead of using the Winston, why don't we try out the wrecking ball? And I think that's how we decided to go with the wrecking ball instead. Very interesting answers, and of course, again, big congratulations on getting the win, and hope to talk to you soon again, Junbin. Thank you so much. 자, 이걸로 인터뷰 마치면서 보내드리도록 할게요. 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 수고하셨습니다.
Hey, talk.
Great, you gotta buy any time to run.
No, I mean, I think Junbin is ecstatic about playing wrecking ball. Like, you know, if that's on the table, if Krusty goes like, hey, what if we play some more wrecking ball? Would you like that? And Junbin's like, yeah, let me play ball. Please let me play ball. So I think he's the first to jump at it, if offered the opportunity, of course.
You could say it's a jump ball. You watch sports, right?
Yeah, but I don't get the jump ball. Like, where the jump?
Do you not know what a jump ball is?
Yeah, I know in the basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was a shitty pun, Jake.
All right, I'll take that.
A day of free Overwatch to kick off our summer stage with these fresh new rosters, everybody.